Hey everyone, I wanted to hop on here and do this quick live because I've been asked this question a few times and I thought I would just go ahead and hop on here and explain it to you. So I'm going to give you a minute to see if some people join. If not, you can always watch this after. Let me just arrange my camera here and try and get this in the correct orientation. Let's see here. Just give me a minute. I've had a lot of you ask me this. It's asking me about warm and cool primaries. So let me give you a few minutes here while I set up and we will get started. Trying to get the orientation of my camera here correctly. So you're not looking at my video sideways. Let's see if that changes it here. Give me just a second. By the way, I am using these, I bought these about a year ago or so and never really used them. These are the warm and cool colors in Daniel Smith. Kind of cool. They give you the warm and cool colors. So that's what I'm going to use today. I bought them for a project and never used them. But you can... I'm going to kind of show you how you can use your MeiLang palette for that. All right, so let's get started here. So the Daniel Smith, somebody was asking me, how do you tell, hi Julie, hey Tina, somebody was asking me, how do I tell if a color's warm or cool? So it's pretty basic, and I had to think about this a little because so much of what I do is just intuitive because I painted for so long. But I remembered I had bought these Daniel Smith colors. Again, you don't have to buy the Daniel Smith. I just thought it was kind of handy because they give you the three primaries that are cool and the three primaries that are dark. So I'm just going to play with those. But you can pick these out in your MeiLangs as well. And then I'm going to show you what we can do with those. So let's see here what they give us. They give us ultramarine blue as the warm, and I'll swatch these for you so you can see them. The New Gamboge, you could also use like yellow ochre, and they are giving you pyrrole scarlet, which in your MeiLang palette, you could use, I'm going to use you could use fresh blue as that light blue, the cool blue. They are giving you phthalo blue and Quin Rose, one of my favorite colors, and a lemon yellow. So in your MeiLang palette, you have lemon yellow. You have a rose color you could use. And then for the phthalo blue, again, I would use like the sky blue, I think is fine. You could probably even use that turkey blue. And then for your warm primaries, you could use French ultramarine, yellow ochre would be fine, kind of like a New Gamboge, which Daniel Smith gives you. And instead of that scarlet, you could use, let's see, we could probably use Karma, or they have scarlet. So you have scarlet here, which is right there. Okay, so let's have some fun. We'll kind of swatch these out and I will show you. And it's good to know, let's see who we got here. Hi, Dottie. For a true red, alizarin crimson is kind of what I was taught. I would say, and I'll show you that in a minute, how you can kind of tell what is a warm red, what is a cool red. It's pretty easy. So let's just swatch these out real quick here. And then I'll show you how you can tell. So here we've got the scarlet, which is kind of an orangey red to me. So we've got that. And these are the ones Daniel Smith gives you as your warms. Vermilion you could use in your MeiLang palette, which to me is very similar to that scarlet. And then French ultramarine. Hi, Kathy. Ooh, good evening. What time is it here in California? It's only about 2:50. So there's the warm primaries. And then here are the cools I'll put down here, and then I'll swatch them out here and kind of show you a quick way to figure out if your colors are warm or cool biased. There's that lemon yellow. And then let's do, this is Quin Red in your MeiLang palette. I'd say the rose. Hey, how are you, Letitia? I'm glad you made it here. I was just saying, I've been asked a few times, like, how do I tell what is a warm color and what is a cool color? So I thought I'd just hop on here and we could play a little bit. All right, so I've got those colors in here. What I'm gonna do, let me move my paper kind of to the side here. And give me 1 second, because I wanna hop on so I can see your comments here. And okay, there we go. Okay, so I have my camera right anyway. Whew. This is why I don't do a lot of lives, you guys, because they always kind of get a little wonky. All right, so I'm gonna write at the top here, warm primaries. And then I'll swatch them out for you. Just using my little 8 brush, doesn't really matter. Okay, so this is the Daniel Smith Scarlet. So to me, it's kind of an orangey red, definitely warm. And I'll show you in a minute. I'm gonna hold it up to a color wheel and kind of show you that. And then this is their gamboge, which to me is kind of like a cad yellow. Honestly, if I want a really nice warm yellow, I love yellow ochre. That's just kind of my go-to warm yellow. And we're gonna mix these so you can kind of see the differences. And by the way, it's important to kind of know what's warm and cool because of the mood of your painting. You know, the warm colors are going to affect one mood, the cool colors are going to affect another. So for instance, this is ultramarine blue, by the way, which you actually, French ultramarine, which you actually have in your MeiLang palette, because they can evoke a mood. So like for me, I just intuitively, for the winter colors, I've been using more of those icy cool colors. So here is what they give you for a cool. Let's put that up here. So notice the difference. It's definitely cooler. This is, they're calling it phthalo blue. But in your MeiLang palette, you could definitely use like a turkey blue, fresh blue, sky blue. Probably not, maybe not fresh blue. That might have a little bit more darkness in it. And then the lemon yellow, very bright and vibrant. So look at that compared to this one, much brighter. And then we'll go with, hey, Letitia, oh, good. I just wanted to touch on this because, hi, Kathy in North Dakota, hi, Gay. Oh, okay, so you use Daniel Smith, so this is perfect for you. But definitely if you have the MeiLang, you can use the MeiLang as well. The red here that Daniel Smith's give you is kind of that Quin rose, which you have a rose color, but look at the difference there. So this is much warmer, this is much cooler. I think most of us kind of intuitively know that, but this is one really quick way to know if your color is warm or cool. So if I was to hold my color wheel here up to the warm primary, as you can see, it's got a lot more reddish, orangish hue. You can kind of pick up that bias in the color. And that means it's a warm color. To me, it was always, if it's a warm color, it's gonna have the colors of the sun in it. If it's a cool color, it's gonna have the colors of the ocean. So as you can see here, that scarlet has definitely more of the yellow and oranges. If you put like a blue or green up to it, green can kind of be both. Blue up to it, it definitely doesn't have any blue in it. Here's the yellow, which I like the yellow ochre. That tends to be my go-to warm brown. But I think here they're using New Gamboge, which is a little bit more to me like a cad yellow. But look at that. It definitely has the oranges and that more warm bias in it. And then, of course, the yellow, the blue, very much the cool greens. It just leans over towards that cool type of colors. And then if you go to this red, which is, they're calling it Quin Rose. If you look in that, it definitely, you don't really see the oranges in that, the warm colors like you do here. That's immediately like, oh, that's kind of in that same bias. Here, it's much pinker. So you're going to be going more into these blues. See that? It just feels like it's connected, part of that family. And same with I use, let's see, they have Phthalo Blue. Definitely feels more in these cooler colors. And that's really like my immediate go-to. Of course, the yellow definitely doesn't have the oranges in it like this one does. It's that bright yellow. So to me, that tells me right away, oh, that is a cool color. Oh, good, Tina, I'm glad. I have them too, the MeiLang. Yeah, the MeiLang is, most color palettes are going to give you versions of a cool yellow and a warm yellow, which here it's lemon yellow and they're cad yellow. Again, I use the yellow ochre as kind of a warm color. So let's mix some of these up. Another reason why this is kind of important, and I'll show that to you, is when you mix, say you're trying to create a purple. If you mix a warm red and a blue red, you're going to get this really deep, saturated, warm purple. If you were to mix a warm red and a cool blue, you're going to get a little lighter, more subdued. It's not going to be quite as vibrant as the two warm primaries together. It can also neutralize the color. So if you used a warm red and a cool blue, it's going to be a little more neutralized. Same with if you used a yellow ochre and a cool blue, it's going to create a little bit more of maybe an olivey green. So let's play with that a little bit. I'm going to take these colors in my palette, and this palette may not even be big enough. But let's just, for instance, do a warm red, mix a warm red, and I'm actually just going to mix on my paper here. And then mix it with a warm yellow. So we've got our warm red. Here's our warm yellow, and I'm actually going to pick up a little of that yellow ochre. And we get a really warm. Let me see if I can get in a little tighter here. We get this warm fall-like orange. Okay, now if we were to go over here and mix this Quin Rose with a lemony yellow, we're going to get a much cooler orange. So see that? It's still orange, but it's much cooler than the other orange. Let's add in a tiny bit more of that Quin Rose. So keeping that in mind. Now watch if we were to mix the warm red with, or let's go with the Quin Rose which is a cool primary. I didn't write that up there, with a warm yellow. And let's see the difference. So this here is our two cool primaries mixed together. But let's just play and see what happens when we mix that rose color. Oops, I already stuck my arm in something here. With a warm yellow, and see how different that is. So they can definitely neutralize each other out. And it's just a lot warmer in color. So why this can also be important is sometimes you may be wanting to create this pink or orange and you can't figure out why it's a little dull. Check that out. Like kind of say, okay, am I using too warm primaries to create that orange? Because maybe you want a warm painting, maybe a sunset in fall, or a pumpkin could be a little warmer, or a fall leaf. That's when you would want to maybe have a little bit warmer. Now, keep in mind, I get a little crazy. I made a purple and a pink pumpkin this year. But if you're going more purist, more traditional, you would probably use the warm primaries. Now, here is the cool red and the yellow warm ochre. And as you see here, let me pull it out a little bit too, meaning I'll just kind of pull it down here. And you can definitely see it's warmer than this one. So let's do a cool quin red with the cool phthalo blue or a turquoisey blue, and let's see what we get with that. I need a little bit more of my cool pink. But you know, bravo for Daniel Smith. I was looking last year to do a little project on the color wheel, I think when I was creating my online course, and I came across that and I thought that's pretty cool for somebody who kind of wants to play. All right, so we've got our very pinky red here, and I'm going to add to it the blue, which to me you could almost use like a cerulean blue too. I have to really think about this sometimes because I do so much of this just because I've been painting so long. I kind of do it without thinking. So there is a very nice, cool purple, okay? And then let's mix that with underneath here, just like we did here, with the warmer blue. Or let's use the warm red with the cooler blue. And let me show you what you will get. So here is our scarlet. Here we go. And we'll mix that with the cooler blue, kind of that turquoisey blue. And look at this deep purple we get. Definitely a difference, right? We get this very muted, kind of shadowy purple. So that's why it's important, because if we want this bright, kind of beautiful, I mean, I say bright, but you know, it's kind of light, but just a brighter, cooler purple. We want to make sure that we're mixing two of the same biased primaries together. Now, I can lighten this up a bit, but it's still going to be kind of that shadowy purple. I can try and add a little bit more of that red in there. A little bit more of the blue. But it's really going to be that deep, dark purple, which is great if you want some shadows. This would make a beautiful color in for maybe mountains in the background. And then also it's really fun. Let me just zoom up a little bit so you can kind of see both. You know, it's really fun too to do like a background with the blue sky. So a nice, cool blue sky like this. Let me just get that wet. And now this will take a minute to dry. So, you know, really knowing these things, you can just be a little bit more intentional with what you're doing. While that's drying, let's go for maybe our yellow and our blue in a warm primary. And let me show you that. So we've got our French ultramarine. Grab a little bit more of that so you can see it. And then let's grab our yellow. And look at that really warm green. It's almost like an olivey green. Now watch what happens when I create a green from my cool colors. It's gonna be this bright, beautiful green. So let me use that. I'm gonna put it right here. So here's our cool blue, phthalo blue, or one of your fresh blues if you've got that MeiLang palette. And then let's just mix some of that yellow. And look at how bright that yellow is. So if you're doing a painting and you're like, man, I want it to be really nice and warm, and you mix your warm blues and yellows, you're gonna get more of this olivey green. So that's why I think it's, yeah, muddy colors, Amanda, exactly. When you mix cool and warm colors, yes, exactly. And that's why it's kind of important to know this, because if you're getting a lot of muddy colors, it's probably because you're mixing some of your warms and your cools together. You can use that. It makes beautiful shadowy colors, as you see here, really warm, deep colors. But you want to be able to do that intentionally. And I'll say it again. The way I usually tell is like this blue, I can tell it very much goes right in line with the greens. It just seems to blend in and fit, and they're a little bit more coherent. So use your color wheel and hold it up to your colors. This warm green, if I held that up to my really cool colors, it's really not going to go together as well. It's going, because it's a warmer color. So using that color wheel to see if your colors lean more towards the sun colors or more towards the water colors. That's just kind of how I was taught years ago. Now let's see if I can go in here. So this is a cool color, and using warm and cool colors are very common in a landscape because you've got a cool sky. And then we're going to go in now. If this is dry enough, I might get just a little bit of bleed. Let me hit it really quick. It's rather cool. Here, let me just close your ears for a second. Okay, let me go back in this now, and I could either use this warm purple or I could use this warm green. Let's see here, which do I want to use? Let's do I think I'm going to go with this one. So the warm yellow and the warm blue. So let's just mix a little bit of that in my palette here. And then some of that blue. And I get that nice warm green, that olivey green. Can you see that? That is my two warm colors. So now I'm just going to go in and I can create those mountains, and they're nice and warm in the background. And look at how beautifully they play together. Isn't that nice? So there's definitely times you can use both colors together, but you want to do it intentionally, because this could look almost a little bit shadowy and muddy. And if you were thinking you were going to get more of this bright color, well, now you can say, I see what I did. I used a warm and a cool, or I used my warms, and you can play with those. The other thing is I'd invite you to do is just go in and create like some flowers using here, let's just create a quick flower here. And then, you know, get kind of, because the main thing here, I'm painting it kind of a wonky angle here. You know, be familiar with how different colors affect your mood. Oh, good. I'm glad that helped, Letitia. So here is a green. Now let's go in and make this green color here, which should be our lemon yellow, and some of that blue, the cool blue, and look at that bright green we get. So watch if I go in here, let's create some leaves, get a little bit more. It's a total different feel. And then we'll go in with maybe some lemon yellow right in the center. So look at how cool that is. Now let's do a warm flower, and you know, play with doing this and just notice how it evokes a totally different mood for your paintings. So here's another flower here. Let me grab some more of that red. There we go. One more. So I kind of made it on its side. Now let's use that warm green. So I'll mix some of my blue with some of that warm yellow. Get a little bit more of that yellow. So we've got an olive green here. Look at that. Like, see how that's a total different feeling. This, just to me, everybody's going to be different, but this is like kind of happy and light and bright, and this is very warm and cozy. So look at that. Total different feel. Right? And then let's go into the center of that with that warm yellow. So two, you know, very similar flowers. Yes, the warm are really cozy, aren't they, Kathy? So if you're trying to create, you know, like I said, for me, while I was creating those fall type paintings, I was leaning a little bit more towards this. But when you know these things, you can definitely intentionally do that. So you're not accidentally going, wait a minute, whoa, what happened? I wanted to use, that is such a bright green. I really wanted a warm green. Now let's just do this for fun. Let's create a cool flower with a warm green, because that can happen a lot too. And it's like, oops, that isn't quite what I wanted, but they can also play really well together. So let's just do that real quick. So here is our cool flower that we're making. Get a little bit more of that. Ooh, I just love that color. Oop, got a little too thick there. That's okay. Okay, and then let's use, so here we saw it with a cool green, and it's that same color palette. It's whenever you're using colors right next to each other on the color wheel, they become very smooth and calming and nice. But now here, I'm gonna use this cool red, and then let's pop in that warm green. So I'm going to mix up a little bit more of that olivey green, and let's add that in combination with the cool flower and see what we get here. So it can be really interesting. Same with our cool and warm landscape. That can be really interesting for our eye. Isn't that nice? It kind of, for me, I would tend to go, I mix my cool flowers with my warm olivey colors a lot because I just feel like it kind of grounds my paintings, where here it's very light, it's very happy, which is good, but look how nice. And then let's put a warm color, yellow, in the middle there. So it just kind of takes that pop of that nice cool red and kind of holds it and warms it up. Looks a lot more natural, doesn't it, Amanda? Absolutely. But these are things that, you know, people come across a lot and they're like, why, you know, why doesn't that look right? That's why, and not that this doesn't look right. I do a lot of paintings with all cool colors, but if you want something that looks maybe a little bit more realistic, or the pink is just too much for you, you can warm it up with the warm primary. So I hope that was helpful for you. I've been working for some time on going into a little bit of the color wheel. It's such a dense subject, and to be very honest, the several times I took it, it was just too dense for me. So I kind of learned a lot of this just over the years and playing with it. Yes, absolutely, Amanda. I rarely use these greens. I just don't. I very much gravitate towards those olivey greens. So I hope that was helpful. Get yourself a color wheel if you are not sure where you're at. So see, here is that cool blue. Blues, the colors of the oceans. They're going to tell you, yes, that is cool biased. If you are using more of a, you're trying to figure out if it's a warm color, you know, hold it next to more of the oranges and reds and look at that. They go right together. They fit right together. Where these oranges and reds, they look nice, but you can tell that has more of a flow with the blues, and that means it has a cool bias. So take a look, you know, paint, practice mixing your warm and cools. I will try to put this in the community tab with my colors. If you're using Daniel Smith, this was just something I came across last year and I thought was kind of handy. I was playing with the color wheel, but you can pretty much use the colors in your MeiLang palette for it as well. And so I hope that was helpful and kind of fun. And do what we did here, where we did a cool painting and a warm painting, and just notice the kind of feeling that it evokes. It's also really fun to play with just a very minimalistic palette and see what colors you can come up with. All right, everybody, happy painting. I'm so glad I caught so many of you here, and you know, keep playing, having fun, and gravitating towards what really is interesting to you. And I will try and list these colors for you. With those 6 tubes, oh, absolutely, Amanda, you are so right. If you were to get your cool primaries and warm primaries, I'll look back, because like I said, I bought these last year. I'm sure they still sell them, and I'll give you the link for these, because they're kind of handy. With the warm and cool primaries, you could absolutely, Amanda, create almost any color. I mean, it's almost limitless. And there are different types of color wheels and color charts that you can do this type of mixing and really get into what kind of colors you could create. All right, everybody, have fun. I hope that was helpful. Yeah, it is a great set. You're welcome, Kathy. And you're welcome, Maria Muy Interessante. Oh, great. I'm glad that was helpful. That makes me feel good when I can share something that is helpful for you guys. Thanks again. I'll see you all soon, and look in the communities tab for some of these colors. I'll try on this, and I'll also look back. Hopefully Daniel Smith still sells this. and I will put the link in there. And thank you as always, you guys, for using my links whenever possible. Every little penny helps and allows me to stay on here and buy more supplies and all that good stuff. All right, everybody, I will talk to you soon. Have fun. You're welcome.